Welcome back to another episode of the S.E.M podcast. Jack Bryce and Zach Hewlett are here again as your host, and tonight we're joined by Caleb Loveless. How you doing, Caleb?
Great. Happy to be here.
Good. I already asked you where you're calling from, so Springville, Utah, right?
That's right.
Very nice. And quite the setup you've got. Is that at home? Are you?
It is. This is my basement. Yep.
Man, cool. Well, you won't be the first guest that's put our sound quality to shame. That's for sure. But
you guys sound great.
Thanks. All right. Well, Caleb, let's start off with how do you end up in Scotland? You know, anything leading up to your call?
I was so shocked when I got a call to Scotland. I'd always wanted to go to Italy or Scotland, pretty much, and we have ancestry in Scotland. So grew up talking about Scotland a lot, especially on my mom's side. So she was obviously very thrilled when I got the call. And then they threw me on a plane. I remember a missionary got really sick on the plane ride over. We gave him a blessing in the back of the plane.
Wow.
And, did the MTC over in England, as probably most Scottish missionaries do.
Yeah, that's true. Did you leave from Utah as well then?
From Utah to Chicago, then to London.
Okay.
Nice.
And then you served from 2002 to 2004 then.
May 2002, to May 2004, I believe.
Nice.
It's been a while. I'm starting to forget. I had to go back through my T book today to
Yes, the T book
remember everything.
I love it.
So what do you?
I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm chasing some sheep, and it says "We Fairy Princess" on the front. So I don't know who started this T book for me, but somebody with a sense of humor.
I love it.
All right. Well, Caleb, catch us up with what you've been up to since, I guess, May 2004.
May 2004, man. How long ago is that now? That's almost
coming up on 20.
Yeah.
20 years. Man, that makes me feel crazy. 20 years.
So what have you been up to the last 20 years?
Yeah, I came home, got married really fast. Got divorced just about as fast because it didn't work out very well. And then just kind of gave up on all that sort of deal for about 10 years and just was working. And then had a chance with some musical projects that started to take off. Got to tour around and be a musician, live the tour van life for a number of years, and get into a little trouble and have some fun. And I think that lasted till about 7 years ago. I think it was about 10 years ago, actually. Now met my now wife, and we dated for 7 years and got married 7 years ago. We dated for 3 years and got married 7 years ago. And we have a 2-year-old daughter.
Wow.
Almost nice. 2. Her name's Reverie, and she's audacious and independent and smart and beautiful and a total drama queen. And a huge daddy's girl, so we watch football on Saturdays together.
Oh, cool.
And I worked a lot of different jobs. I went to school and then dropped out of school to go on tour, and then kind of came back, and I worked at the jail. I worked at the county jail in Utah teaching classes to the inmates on kind of life skills, behavioral skills. Did that for about 10 years.
Wow.
And then a few years ago, got involved and started a company that does online music education for engineers and producers. So the guys that run the studios and produce music and mix and master music, I teach those guys. I'm the director of education for the company, part owner in the company. It's called mastering.com. And we're trying to kind of start how they have boot camps for all the data engineers these days. Instead of going to school, we're kind of doing the same thing for musician folk who don't want to go through the 4-year degree. We have a 2-year certification program, and so I've been having a lot of fun doing that. It mixes a lot of my favorite things, which are music and teaching and entrepreneurship. So
Wow.
lots of fun over the last 20 years, I guess. Lots of ups and downs,
Yeah.
but really living kind of the dream right now in a lot of respects.
Cool.
It's awesome.
That's really cool. Who are you on tour with?
I had a band called Van Lady Love. It's called Van Hoff now, and we toured around for a bunch of years, and then money signs kind of started getting in people's eyes, and that's the end of bands. And the label, we signed a contract, and then things started to dissolve pretty quick. So I got out pretty early before things got really hairy, but stayed in music, started doing a lot of music licensing. So I've made music for brands like Coke and Cadillac, Intel, Target, that kind of stuff. And then, like I said, 3 or 4 years ago, got involved in a company and worked my way up through it to start at some point buying out the original owner and now owning part of mastering.com and being the director of education.
Man,
That's amazing.
I think that's pretty unique and pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm having a blast. It's really, really fun.
Great. All right. Well, we'll go back now. MTC, you just walk us through areas, companions, it's whatever you want to cover in the
Yeah,
time we've got here.
I had to go back and remember a few things, so I took some notes.
Yeah, it's an open book test for sure.
Yeah, I realized I'd forgotten the order of a couple things, and I've forgotten exactly. I think I got it pretty close. But yeah, we got over there in May. I don't remember everyone from the MTC. I remember Sister McConkey and Sherry Stevens and a few of the Elder Cooper. I remember him because we went to high school together. We ended up serving together later.
Wow.
So, yeah. And yeah, we're what Preston, right? In London?
Yeah. Yep.
Correct.
Loved the loved that MTC experience there. Really fun, really bonding. But I was a pretty awkward kid, so this was me just diving into a whole world of trying to figure out how to have partnerships and relationships and deal with the ego of proselytizing and faith and hurting people's feelings and being hurt and all that kind of stuff. It's not. I wouldn't say I was like really good at that stuff at that time in my life. So I just remember it being like kind of tricky to navigate all that, and I think I had a lot of like pride and ego and kind of awkward, semi-autistic ways of being sometimes that people were pretty patient with me though. But I remember just feeling pretty awkward entering the mission field. I don't know if you guys ever felt that way, but it was just like a trip.
Oh yeah,
it felt really, really quite awkward.
I think a lot of us can relate to that. For
You
sure.
just don't really know what to do. But the MTC was great. Had a lot of great spiritual experiences, and kind of felt we were told we were the ones that were going to like change everything. Our group was going to be the ones who usher in the big harvest of Scotland.
Second harvest.
Yep, the second harvest. We were told we were the group that was going to start it, so we came out with a lot of gusto, And my first area was Sterling.
Nice.
I think I was there 4.5 months. I had 2 companions. I was either there 3 months or 4.5 months, and I started with Elder Vanderhoof, and he was my trainer. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Elder Vanderhoof. He was really great for me because he was really strict on the rules and just a little bit hard on me probably, and that was good for me at that time. Didn't help me with a ton of confidence, but taught me how to just work really, really hard, which was cool. And then I'm trying to remember the other guy had come in right after that. I think he was like, I can't remember. The president moved in there for some reason. I was only with him for 6 weeks, and I can't really remember his name. But he was just kind of like trunky to go home, I think. He's on his way out. So he was like, go be with Elder Loveless, and he told me to just work him really, really hard. So We just we chapped on a lot of doors, as they say.
Yeah.
And, he was good. He was a good kid. I can't remember his name. And we were in that area with Sister Thomas and Sister Jones, who were really fun. They were cool. We had really fun times with Elder Vanderhoof and those two in the Sterling area. And I think their area was Alloa or something like that. And then I went over to Coatbridge, and I was in Coatbridge for 7.5 months. So I was there for a long time and had, I think, only 2 companions there still. I had Elder Brooks for 4.5 months, and he was the best. He was so fun. We had I was reading back through the T book, and he just wrote lists of like little sayings we had, little inside jokes, and it just filled pages and pages of memories and stuff, just little sayings we had. He was just a ton of fun, and we worked hard, but he was also just like pretty playful and a good hang. So that was a lot of fun. And if you Coatbridge was, I mean, if you ever served near there, you know the Dohertys, they take really good care of you, and that ward there takes really good care of you. And anyone who served there knows Rosie DiNardo, who's this feisty Italian lady who would cook for you every Wednesday and made the meanest food ever. It was just so amazing. Swore like a sailor. But I think she was like 80. I think she was like 89 or like in her 90s or something, and she was just as feisty as ever. She was so funny. She made us great food. And then I went down to Ayr, which I really loved. Really beautiful place. Really loved Ayr. And I had Elder Cooper, which I went to high school with, and I think we were together 3 months. And then I had my greenie. I think his name was Elder Jones. He didn't sign my T-book for whatever reason. I think he tried to push me over the ledge of one of those tall buildings once. So I don't know how he didn't want to knock doors anymore. So I think we ended up friends in the end, but I remember at one point he tried to kill me. So I can see why he didn't sign my T-book. I remember he just didn't want to. I think his name was Elder Jones or something. He didn't want to knock doors anymore one day, and it was raining, and he's just he pushed me over the railing and said, "We're going home."
Oh man.
I was like, okay, you win. That's fine. Air was beautiful though. I don't know if you guys went down on that area, but it's just like right on the ocean there. You can see the islands off in the distance, and the beach right there, and this like old castle relic on top of a cliff right there. It's just so beautiful. I've thought in recent years, my wife and I have talked about moving back there actually, just because it's so beautiful. Really love that. Oh, by the way, I proposed to my wife in Scotland.
Oh wow!
Oh, hey.
The current wife, the one that matters. And she went to be an au pair over in Turkey. She was kind of like one last hurrah before she settled down. This is a tangent going back to like the last 20 years. I just remember. I went and picked her up and then took her to Scotland, showed her around. She loved it there. She immediately kind of felt that incredible spirit of the place. And I hiked her up to the top of a mountain called the Cobbler, which is near Arachar, which an investigator had taken Elder Brooks and I to the top of that at one point. And it's a cool mountain where there's like this spire on top that you can actually get up on top of this spire rock face and look down over everything. Anyway, I took her up there and proposed to her on top of that rock, and
That's awesome.
that was fun. So she loves Scotland as well, which is important. Anyway, back to Ayr. We might want to move there sometime. And then went to Livingston. I think I was there 3 months. I had Elder Anderson. He was so funny, snored like a freight train. I couldn't believe it. Insane. I remember that from him. He's a good time. But I would literally like get the drawers in the middle of our beds and pull it open as far as I could and slam it as hard as I could to like wake him up from the snoring. I mean, I think I snore too, but this guy, I mean, it sounded like someone's yelling as loud as they could. And he knows this about himself, so it's a good laugh.
Oh my gosh.
Elder Anderson, he was fun. And then I had Elder Garota, and he was from Nice, France. And he couldn't say squirrel correctly. So that was fun.
How did he say it, Caleb? Come on, tell us.
it was like Squirrel. Squirrel. If I was ever having a bad day, I'd be like, Elder Grota, just say Squirrel for me. And then I felt better. And he was a great companion. We had a lot of fun. We knocked on a lot of doors and hung out. And I think it was around that time, I have to back up ever so slightly. I remember one time I was having a migraine. I think this was clear back in Coatbridge. I was having a migraine, and it was like really bad, so bad the room was like spinning. And I remember we were just like, it was like super intense. And all of a sudden it stopped, and I had this idea for like a program for the mission to like change, instead of knocking on doors as much, utilizing members in a different way, and not a way that was like so aggressive. Because when we came into the mission, it was just like, hey, let's pray right now, and you give me the first 5 names that come to your head. And members hated that crap. They were like, get me out of here. But it was like training them to be missionaries instead of just like those gimmicks. It was like, let's empower you with the missionary tools so that prepared people can come and meet you when you're prepared. And so I had this migraine, and I stopped, and I had this idea, and I went down and I wrote like 5 pages of like this idea, and I like typed it up the other day. As soon as I got done with the thing, the migraine came back, and I went and fell back asleep. It was like total prompting, and went and typed it up and sent it in, like shipped it to the mission president. And he called me up a little while later, and he's like, this is what we're going to do. Like, this is the thing. Can you go around, and we're going to do a mission tour, and I want you to teach this to like every zone. So I spent some time, I think it was in Ayr or Livingston, where we didn't proselyte. We went for some weeks and went around and taught this program, which the mission adopted and started doing, which was a lot of fun, just working with members. A little different. I don't know if they were still doing it by the time you guys came along, but it was more just member missionary focused. And so that was fun. I think that was in Livingston where I finally went and took a break there. But we had Elder Anderson, Elder Garota, I think Sister McConkey and Stevens or something were in that area. Sister McConkey's going to yell at me if I got this wrong. I think they were in this area together. And I had the zone leaders, Elder Wright and Benjamin and Perry. Elder Wright was that one that he'd been beat up. I don't know if you remember his story. He'd been beat up real bad. Has he been on this?
He has.
Okay, you know his story then. But this was right after he got out of the hospital the second time, was when he was zone leader for me. So he was right in the thick of it. I remember the spirit from him and the stories, and him wanting to stay and do all that kind of stuff was pretty powerful to me at the time. Very cool to have that experience, to spend some time with him. And then with about 6 months left, I think I went to Dundee, was a zone leader there, had Elder Nelson, who just was the hardest worker ever. I remember one time I was so sick, I was like dying, literally had like meningitis sick. I was so sick, and he was just like, we're going out. It was like frost in the air, coughing the whole way, and he was just working me. So we got along pretty well, but he worked me so hard that there was a little roughness there for sure. And then Elder Cook, you probably remember Elder Cook, because he was just, well, no, you might have bumped into him.
Charlie
Cook?
Yeah, Charlie Cook. Has he been on this thing?
Not yet, but I replaced him in Dumfries.
Did you? Okay.
So, and we've been in contact with him, so we're going to get him on here.
So did he go to Dumfries up to be zone with me in Dundee, maybe?
He must have.
Yeah. Because he trunked me out, and we had so many good conversations. We had like 10 different businesses we were going to start when we got off our mission. And anyway, he was a really good time. We had Sister Breach there, Sister Bagalamova, and a bunch of incredible elders: Stratton, Miller, Tovey, Mace, Turvey, Taylor. We called ourselves the Dundee United Zone, and made a big deal about that at conference. So we wanted to act like a football club as well as a zone, I guess.
I love it. It's great.
That's cool. Yeah, so Sister Bogomolova was in my group. So
okay. Yeah, she was awesome.
That's great. She's been on as well.
Oh, has she? Great. I need to go back and watch a couple of these.
She married a missionary from our mission, so
Oh, cool.
kind of cool Scottish family there.
Yeah,
cool.
that's right.
Right. Well, you served under 2 mission presidents then.
Yep.
Started with Wilkinson's and then the Vrainses. Any particular memory you have with President Sister Wilkinson?
Yeah. He would always pull his wife up to the podium and be like something about how if you knock doors in the rain, you have a beautiful wife someday. And he'd be like, I'm living proof. And he had the whitest teeth of any human on the planet. He and I got along really well. He's like much more stern than President Vreens was. But he was all about knocking those doors. And I think I knocked like an insane amount of doors that first year under Wilkinson. Like looking back, it was just like 60 hours a week of knocking doors. It was insane. And I think maybe that's why I had a migraine that day, and it's maybe what prompted the inspiration, as it were, to do things a different way. Maybe I'm just tired of knocking doors in the rain. But it was Elder Vrains that I sent the packet into, and he liked the idea, had me go around and teach about it.
Yeah, we definitely didn't do the pray and give us names and stuff.
Good.
So,
Something lasted.
Yeah. At least some of that culture stuck for sure.
Well, I remember one time a 70 came and I presented it to him, and he said there's stuff happening in the church where a lot of this is starting to come out, not only of missionaries in different parts of the world, but also the brethren. You notice they came out with Preach My Gospel about a year later, which is much more in line with what I had felt was probably the right way to go about working with members.
Yeah, and certainly that's what they're all about now, right? Love, share, and invite. So
yeah,
that's great. Sticking with that theme, I guess, any particular memories with President Sister Vrains?
he was just a happy guy. Sister Vrains was absolute light. I loved both of them very much. I haven't talked to them much since, but he gave me a lot of good wisdom and good advice over the years. I think it was Sister Wilkinson, though, that handed out this stuff called like Sun Breeze to all the missionaries. And she said it was a cure-all. And it was this balm that you like rub on anything, or if you're sick, you like wipe it under your nose or something, and it burned like crazy. Remember that? She told me it would heal anything, so I remember that from Sister Wilkinson. But yeah, I got to spend a little time with President Vrains when we toured around and taught the missionaries, so that was good to get closer to him.
Yeah,
That's cool. Now, I'm under the impression, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Caleb, that you were one of the proponents of some of the mission songs that circulated after your time. Am I correct in understanding that that's true?
I may have been a part of some of that.
Do you want to put your name on any of them so that you can get some love for it?
Well, I don't remember. I know that there was already a really great album of missionary work, and I can't remember the elder that did them, but they were so great. They're all those famous songs like Wonderwall and stuff like that. You probably still had them by the time we were there. They were more clever than anything I did, but there is a mission CD from I think 2004 that on the end of has some of those songs on them. I can't even remember any of them. Do you guys remember any of them?
We've uploaded several to our channel here.
Yeah, take some time. They're on our YouTube channel, so
okay.
Go check them out, and
okay.
You may get some inspiration that comes back to you. You know, the most listened one is "Welcome to Motherwell."
I think that was before my time.
Was it? Okay,
I think so. I think that was that other brilliant kid who just had these funniest songs. They were so great.
Oh, we had quite a few. I mean, "Where Do Bad Sisters Go When They Die?"
Yep. That's another good one.
Oh my gosh.
It was definitely a thing in the mission to do the parodies.
Yeah, I had some illegal music that circulated around that was non-missionary type, but it was still pretty appropriate because it was pretty gentle music. But I had an album that I made before I came on the mission that no one will confess to listening to fall asleep at night, but I know that they did. And So that was fun.
It involved like Stairway to Heaven or something like that.
No, it was this. These were all originals, you know.
Oh, okay, all right.
They probably didn't help you be less trunky, but they were pretty gentle in their theme. So maybe they were okay.
Nice.
But I had several missionaries say, "I listen to your stuff at night. Don't tell anybody." Corrupting, I guess. I corrupted some people.
It's funny because like that generation of time, that was our favorite thing. Was we'd listen to missionary CDs when you're in a car and be like, "Hey, get a member to make a copy of that," and then it would just go through the mission like wildfire. You know,
Totally.
you're handing them out like pieces of candy. It was so popular. It was hilarious.
Yeah, guys from across the country were. Well, back then we had mini discs. Do you guys still have mini discs in your? That was the rage in my thing.
That was really good for recording.
They were great for recording because you could plug them into the headphone output and just record right onto them. So you could have all the mission tapes. I had all the Timeless Questions and Gospel Insights by Truman Z. Madsen. I stole those off of somebody onto the mini disc. I have a whole box of mini discs from the mission.
That's amazing
stuff. We just anytime an elder or sister had anything good, we recorded it with our mini disc player, which really only existed in this world, by the way, since I know audio for like 2 years, and it happened to be the 2 years that I was on my mission. That technology immediately died like the next year after I went home, because the iPhone came out and the iPod came out the next year after I came home.
Right. Yeah,
it was a brief window, and our kids certainly gonna be like, "What? We've heard of 8 tracks. We've never heard of."
Yeah. all my 02 to 04 people, maybe 01, you're rocking the mini disc players. You probably have a box of them somewhere. Shout out to all of you who lived that timeless time with me.
Now, the question I have for you, Caleb, is do you still have a player for those mini discs so that you could plug them in and listen to what you recorded or took time to record?
So they're in a box somewhere. Last I checked, I had one, but I have moved a couple times since then. So it's possible that they're gone. I don't even know if it would. Who knows if it's 20-year-old tech at this point. Who knows if it even works? eBay, I bet I could find one though if I find that box. I've been tempted to pull one out.
I was just gonna say either you find yours and sell it for a large profit, or you go online and pay an exorbitant amount for one for sure.
Yeah, I bet they're pretty expensive these days.
It's a relic at this point, right?
It really is.
Oh man,
I probably have some great material on there though. I can only imagine. It's probably incredible.
Oh man, you could drop an album and we'll push it on our podcast if you find some good stuff on there from the mission. That would be pretty cool. Maybe
there's some mission songs that got lost.
Ooh.
To time. Who knows? They might be on there. I'll dig it up.
Some hidden tracks. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Do some research for us.
I will do it. Yeah.
I love it.
I'll find that box.
That's awesome.
That's great. Any other missionaries you served, maybe not with, but just around, that you want to shout out while you're on here? Or maybe we could help track them down for you.
So many names have lost. I'm still friends with a few on Facebook. I'm really bad with remembering names on the spot. But I am friends with quite a few people on Facebook. You know who I haven't ever talked to again was that Sister Stevens. I know she was with Sister McConkey, and I've noticed you list her on some of the podcasts, but I also noticed that she doesn't have a link, so she must not do the online thing. She must not do the Facebook. Or doesn't surprise me. She was a total like hiking through the desert kind of person, but she was awesome. So I always wanted to say hi to her, but was never able to.
I'm sure that she'll get a hold of this at some point and go, "Hey, I remember Caleb. He was awesome."
Hope so. Hope she says hello.
That's awesome. I love it.
Great. All right. Well, Caleb, anything else?
I miss Doner kebabs.
I think we all do. That and a good fish supper.
Well, yeah, the haddock, right?
That's right. Oh my goodness.
No one does it like over there. It's just not the same anywhere you go.
Nope.
Nobody knows.
No, there's nothing better than it coming out of the sea the same day and it's on your plate. It's amazing.
There's just something about the way they cook it too. The whole thing, the ink from the newspaper seeps in and gives it a little extra flavor. If you go to a legit place that's wrapped in newspaper, anyway. Where was the best kebab you ever had, Donner?
Oh man, I think I had a really good one in Hamilton at one point. That was one of my spots. I remember it was delicious.
I remember the worst one I had was at a member's house. We didn't know we had a dinner appointment, but we were like going through the neighborhood and we're like, oh, just stop and check on Sister So-and-so. We stopped at her house and she's like, you were supposed to be here for lunch 4 hours ago. So we're like, oh, we're sorry.
Oh no.
And she's like, but I saved it for you. It's still on the kitchen table. So we went in. There was two, like, they weren't from a shop. They were from like Aldi or Lidl or something.
Oh, no.
And, yeah, 4 hours old. So I didn't die. I mean, I felt blessed that day.
We are blessed
to survive the experience.
Did you ever eat roadkill on your mission?
Not knowingly.
I literally had a member serve us something he hit on the way home that day to dinner. I'm not kidding. Who was with me that time? It might have been Elder Cooper. Someone verify this. We ate literal roadkill.
Was it a pheasant?
Must have been. It was chicken-esque.
Oh my gosh.
The best kebab, though, I think, was in Coatbridge, this place called Barbecue King.
Barbecue King, interesting.
And it came out in a pizza box, and it was a whole huge naan filled with Donner and this pink sauce that was incredible, and then it folded over. The naan was big enough that it folded over.
Oh my gosh.
In a pizza box. And
you regretted it for like the whole week, the whole rest of the week, but it was the best thing ever in the moment, you know? I also at one point held the pizza eating challenge. I don't know if that continued on, but I did break the pizza eating challenge from Pizza Hut. At one point, it got beat again shortly after, but for a moment, I can't remember the number, but I did hold the mission record for at least a few months. So that was claim to fame.
You're saying slices or
slices? Slices.
Okay. All right. Someone claimed that they ate like 20 pizzas, and I was like, "There's no way that sounds physically impossible, no. unless it was like personal pan pizzas." But
I think I had about 29 slices or something like that broke the record. It was something like, it was a number like that. I can't remember exactly.
Wow.
But yeah, mission was awesome. I think about it every day. I'm sure you guys do too. Hopefully, I think I'll be able to go back to Scotland next summer and go around and see people again. But I wish I could live there if possible.
Yeah,
speaking of good food, you were in Dundee. What about Fisher and Donaldson's Fudgy Donuts?
You better believe it. They also had the best Indian food place up there in Dundee. There was like a buffet up there, and it was the best I ever had on my whole mission. It was amazing.
Dang, I missed that reference. That's the hard part, is missionaries don't pass these things on very well, like from companionship to companionship. That should have been a notated thing in the area book.
Totally should have. And I think it was like a member owned it, or a member knew who owned it. So we would get to go there all the time. Maybe that's not right. But I remember going there often. A member would take us there often, and it was very, very good. And then I raved about Indian food. And I had a chance, like, it was probably 5, 6 years ago, I had a chance to take all my good friends over to Scotland. And I just raved about the Indian food. And then every Indian food place we hit on this last trip over was just awful. It was terrible. The whole, like, we went to one place, we ended up calling it like Punjab's Pudding Palace or something like that, because every dish was the sweetest thing you'd ever eaten in your whole life. It was just loaded with sugar. And I was so embarrassed. What happened to the Indian food in Scotland? It was good. Everywhere I went, it was so good. And I took these people, and it was bad. We went to like 4 places. They were all bad. Every one of them.
And so you've been back a few times then?
Yep. I've been back 3 or 4 times. And I hope to go back next summer again.
That's awesome. Great.
That's great.
In my bones, man. I can't get away from it. I love Scotland. There's a special feeling there when you go there. It's a special place. There's a palpable, visceral feeling.
Yeah.
An old feeling, a spiritual feeling.
Yeah.
Even my wife could feel it. It's just something about that place.
Agreed. My goodness.
Making me homesick here.
I know.
Yeah, I'm the same way. God.
Just got to move there. When are they gonna build a temple there?
Who knows?
Yeah.
There's too many different variables. Maybe in our lifetime, but we'll see. To be determined.
We keep guessing. It might announce it this weekend.
I know. Maybe.
There you go.
Who the heck knows?
Don't know.
I might have to take another trip if they do.
Agreed.
For sure. I think there'll be a mass pilgrimage, actually.
There will be.
Yes, indeed.
Well, Caleb, we sure appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. It's been a pleasure. We love you as our brother in Scotland. And really good to catch up with you and to reminisce a little bit about the country that we love.
Nice to talk to both of you and anyone who watches this who I forgot about that I served by or something. Hit me up and yell at me. I'd love to catch up. And any of you who I did mention, hit me up anyway. I'd love to reminisce.
There you go. And anybody who's listening who wants to be on or you don't know how to reach out to Caleb, you can hit us up too at 51spylaw.com. And that should be pretty easy for everyone to remember.
Yep.
It's time to go look through some mini discs. I'll hit you guys up.
All right. Thank you, Caleb.
All right. Love you, Caleb. Cheerio, brother.
Love you guys later.
All right.
All right. Bye.